Live. What's going on, everyone? Hang on a second. I forgot to plug my mic in. There we go. Let me make watching this on the replay. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure my mic's working properly real quick. Check. Okay, perfect. Good. Just want to make sure because I forgot to plug it in. But first blowout win of the season. Right? Of course, it's against Washington. So, good win. Lakers controlled it start to finish. I like that. Obviously, this isn't like, Lakers are back, baby. Like, this isn't anything like that. This isn't anything too crazy. But again, I do like that we handled business. We got it done. Unfortunately, with this Lakers team, there is the concern that even when you're playing a bad team such as Washington and they've lost 9 straight and everything, it's funny to to have the idea that, like, hey, Lakers might actually lose this game. I don't know if funny is probably not the right word, but it definitely is. It's frustrating that that the Lakers have to, that you genuinely have to question, are the Lakers going to be able to beat the worst team in basketball? You don't really have that question with many of the other teams, but nonetheless, good solid win. I really liked what we saw from this team. I really liked what we got from this team as far as the wins. The win goes, got our 23rd win on the season. Got to keep tagging them away, right? We got Boston coming up next, right? So hopefully we it's not something where we get ran through. Again, there's not many takeaways from this team, if I'm being honest, right? Like, again, the worst team in basketball. I mean, they're terrible. They're like terrible. We got to see a little showcase, right, from a couple players, a couple teams, right? You had with the wrong game. Hannah, let me pull up the game. Jonas Valanciunas. I still don't mind Valanciunas. I really don't. He's 4-6 from the floor. He played 19 minutes, 4-6 from the floor, 8 points, 7 rebounds. He had 2 assists. That's great. It's more than what we get off of bench production off the bench. His passing, I think, is very underrated. His passing is something like, how he's really good at catching the ball, surveying, feeding it to the cutters. I think you can do a lot of offensive actions through Valanciunas. I think you could just kind of put him on the block and run some offense through him at times. Guy that gets you some rebounds, help on the interior, right? I like that the Lakers are, crashing the glass collectively and all that stuff. Kyle Kuzma didn't really show much rebounding. We could use his rebounding for sure. And then, outside of that, you didn't get to see Malcolm Brogdon. I would love Corey Kispert, right? Like, that dude I think he'd be great on the Lakers off ball. They talked about the stat where he's like 8th in bench points or something like that and stuff. So he'd be a nice little acquisition if you could find a way to pull him out in a trade, in a deal. But again, got a little tryout for a couple guys. Kyle Kuzma's out there just taking reckless shots. I know people aren't like super like, oh, get Kyle Kuzma. I also don't think he'd be taking as many careless shots with the Lakers. I don't think he'd be doing as much with the Lakers. I think he'd be kind of playing and fitting his role. Where on Washington, he can just jack up 20 attempts and just take all these like ill-advised crazy shots. But beyond that, LeBron had a triple-double, 21, 13 assists, 10 rebounds, along with 2 steals and a block. Anthony Davis with a 29-16 game, 5 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. Max Christie had his struggles offensively, but defensively, he had 5 rebounds, and then defensively he was good. And then Austin Reaves struggled to shoot the basketball, but still had 16 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal. I thought was good being in attack mode, which is what I've talked about, right? Having him stay in attack mode, even when he has bad shooting nights. At least he's aggressive in attack mode. I would prefer, instead of him taking 8 threes, especially when you're at 1 of 8, I wish, 4 of those were or 2-point attempts, he might have had a little better production. But I thought he was fine out there. I thought he held his own defensively. Um, again, nothing like great. He didn't have some monster game. Again, I mean, it ties into the inconsistencies with him at times, right? Like, but overall, I thought he did a good job of keeping the defense on their toes, which is what you like to see. Dorian Finney-Smith had his best game with the Lakers. He had 16 points, 2 rebounds, 4 or 6 from 3, 6 of 8 from the field total. Jackson Hayes, 3 for 3, 8 points. Dalton Connect hit a 3 there at the end, which you like to see. And then Jamison, Trey Jamison got 2 rebounds and a bucket or a free throw in 2 minutes. So I wish we would have gotten more. I would have liked to see a little more of Jamison, kind of see like what he can do, what he provides for this team. But overall, we'll see. Time will tell. But anyway, let's get into all of the chats, all the super chats, regular chats, all that stuff. And then, let's do this thing. Real quick, everyone that's here, please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. 23-18. Yes. Got to keep winning, right? We got some tough. Is the next game the Celtics game? Let me pull that up. I think the next game is the Celtics game, right? Which gotta win that game. Especially Celtics. Celtics have been just sloppy lately. So I do think that they're very beatable right now. Our next game is against the Celtics. We got the Celtics and the Warriors. Got to get that Celtics game. Got to get both of these. I'd love to just finish the rest of this month and just sweep the rest of the way. Celtics, Warriors, Hornets, Sixers, and then Wizards would be nice. But why don't we trade for Kispert? I would love to get Kispert if we can. If they can pull that off, add him to a Valanciunas deal, Valanciunas trade, I am all for it. Finally, they do their jobs. I mean, again, it's against the worst team in basketball, so not too much to be like, yeah, but no, I'm excited for the win. Win's a win. I'll take the win. It's a dub. Let's get it. Also, what do you think about the Suns trade? I think they're about to go trade for Jimmy Butler, right? I think that's what they just did that for. I think that they just basically turned 1 first into 3 firsts. So that way, which, to their credit, talk about a creative move, right? That's something I would have loved to see the Lakers do. Right? If the Lakers could have pulled something like that off, if they could have pulled something off where, they turn especially the Jazz really want the Lakers first. Could you have turned an unprotected first into 3 firsts? And then, now you would have had 3 firsts or 4 firsts to trade, right? And maybe you could have worked with a little more, right? Or maybe kind of leverage that into the off season. But Brandon Ingram makes the most sense. Best trade. We need wing depth. He is a wing. We need isolation scoring. He is that. He would make our half-court offense better. And if he doesn't work out, $40 million in open salary. Yeah, look, I'm not against Brandon Ingram. I've talked about, BI, as well as like Levine, like these higher-end guys. I talked about how if you're not going to take a flyer on Zach Levine, I'd still think Zach Levine would be the better natural fit. But I think Brandon Ingram would give you a lot of the same stuff, slot right in, give you a guy. Obviously, like, people worry about injury history with Zach Levine. I mean, Brandon Ingram is everything that people worry about Zach Levine. But a healthy Brandon Ingram, I do think, is another guy that, again, raises the ceiling for this team. Is another guy that really kind of elevates this team and puts them, in a better position, right? Again, Brandon Ingram in the Austin Reaves role, I think, makes the Lakers better. You get some size, you get some length, get some versatility, a guy that can, initiate the offense, run the offense. You can allow him to play and run through him and kind of let him be your main scorer. I don't hate the idea at all. Let's see. Phoenix is a second apron team that, even with all their CBA limits and albatross contracts, makes moves and are definitively all in because of their 2 Team USA stars, unlike the Lakers. I mean, Phoenix hasn't done. I mean, they got Nick Richards, but I already talked about that. Nick Richards is going to be better for Phoenix. Like, he had that one monster game for them, and then he's just been pedestrian since, right? Which I think I even said this. Like, if the Lakers traded for Nick Richards, a lot of Laker fans would have been very disappointed. I would have liked Nick Richards. I think he's good. I think he'll be better for Phoenix than he will with the Lakers. But outside of that, this move, If it becomes something, if they turn it into something, then yeah, right? If they end up landing Jimmy Butler, then huge. But right now, they haven't done anything, right? This is just like the move in the hopes to get the other move. They're just going to take this. They just got the 3 first, so they could package that with Bradley Beal to go get Jimmy Butler. That's their hope. But we'll see. Time will tell. And again, like, I don't want to judge the Lakers and Rob Pelinka until it's all said and done, right? Like, what if the Lakers pull off 3 or 2 or 3 moves, or go get a big move, go get a big swing trade or something like that, and you look up and now the Lakers are back in business, right? Like, I've said, like, I don't want to be critical until I see the end result, right? Like, I want to be fair and wait and see, like, what is the end result. I know it's frustrating. Believe me, if I had my way, we would have had everything worked out, a month ago. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. So again, I want to wait to see, right? Rob pulled off the Dorian Finney-Smith trade for fair value, right? That was a great move, great pickup for the Lakers. I mean, he had his best game today with the Lakers, but it's more so not so much about his offense. It's more about just his, about the defense and his versatility. We're getting Jared Vanderbilt back at some point. Like, again, I want to wait and see what the end result is, right? Because we jump to conclusions and it's like, oh, Rob's not going to do, or Rob's going to just trash and da-da-da. And then he ends up pulling a big trade and we're all like, oh, Rob's the GOAT, right? Like, so I just want to wait and see what the end result is. Bronny GOAT. Yeah, dude, it was great seeing that, like, all the fans and stuff. It's time for Dorian. Yep. Man, finally a game I didn't have to stress for. Yeah, seriously. I know it's Washington, but can we get Roki Sasaki to every game if we win like that? Maybe he's our good luck charm. Apparently, yeah. Seriously, put him on the side. Look, I'm like, good. A win's a win. We'll take it, right? Like, I'm glad that we were able to pull this win off, and in the fashion in which we were able to pull it off for. Like I said, I don't want to get too like, Lakers are back. Like, it's the worst team in basketball. You're supposed to dominate and control this game start to finish, and they did. So easy win, even though LeBron struggled a bit with his shooting in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And, again, guys stepped up. It was a good all-around game. They, rebound, took care of the basketball, had the assists, right? Like, it's a good game. This is what you want to see more regularly. It's time for Dorian Finney-Smith to start, Tyler. Dorian Finney-Smith lineup, or we trade Rui for two-way guard and a center. So as far as Dorian Finney-Smith, JJ Redick gave us some insight. So he's been on minute restriction. I don't know why they didn't say this earlier. Like, this would have been great information to have like a while ago. But we got information now that Dorian Finney-Smith has been on minute restriction since they got him for I think it was an ankle injury. So that makes sense why they might not have started him and why they are kind of easing him in, because they don't want him to get hurt. So he played 22 minutes tonight. Rui played 26 minutes. So if they flip that, ideally that would be great. But for right now, assuming that's, I don't know why JJ would lie about that. So going off of that information, it's good to know now, right? It's good to know. And shout out Dorian Finney-Smith, bro is a sniper, please. JJ, I'm begging you, get him in the starting lineup. And I saw you posted a Brown video. Is it likely we get him? I wanted Brown for years. Yeah, so I mean, like, Brown to the Lakers. Who is it? Evan Sinery even made another report after I made that video, of course. Made another report to keep an eye on Bruce Brown to the Lakers. His contract is a little difficult, but the Lakers can get there, and he might be a guy that ends up on the Lakers at some point. I want Brown on the Lakers. I'm a Brown guy, right? Like, I want him to in purple and gold. I think he helps a ton. I think he's a guy that can help initiate, handle the ball pressure, defend, be an on-ball, off-ball guy. Defensively, I just think once you get Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup, I just like the Bruce Brown, Austin Reaves, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I just like that 5-man unit so much better. I just think it's so much more balanced. Even if you want to start Christie, fine, so be it, right? Go Reaves, Christie, Dorian, LeBron, and AD. And then, but you should still have lineups out there and to close, right? Go with Bruce Brown, however you want to slice it. But yeah, hopefully this happens and happens soon. let's see. Dorian Finney-Smith shot 6 of 8. Rui still managed to get 4 more minutes here. Well, again, JJ Redick clarified that he's been on minute restriction. So that's probably why. I'd rather be the Suns front office no matter how much they fail. They keep trying. With the Lakers, we mess up with Westbrook situation. Now we're so passive part one. Yeah, you're not wrong. They have definitely been a lot more passive. Let me see if I can find the other part. Where's part 2? We have assets and salaries to make trades to better us now. Like we can go get a Brandon, we can go get a Levine, but Jovan Buha says we're going to make a marginal move or move that low risk, high reward type thing. Yeah, that's kind of well. He said that that's kind of what his sense is based on that. So obviously it's just like kind of what he's gathered. Lakers could do more, but yes, it depends. So my question about that though is like, what is a marginal move to the Lakers, right? Like, is a marginal move going and getting a Valanciunas and a Cody Martin, and it's like 18 million in salary, and then that's it? Or is the marginal move like Nikola Vucevic and a Bruce Brown, right? Like, where they're like, hey, these are two kind of like mid-tier guys, right? Or is it just like a Bruce Brown and then like a low-tier guy, right? Like, because margin, like to us, like a small move, we're thinking like, oh, we're just gonna get a bunch of like random role guys, right? But maybe to the Lakers, that marginal move is not getting Levine or Ingram, right? Like that would be like the big piece. That would be like the big swing trade, boom, right? Like the big, the gamble type trade. But it could be that like a marginal move is just like go get Bruce Brown, get him. You still have cap flexibility. Maybe bring in a Valanciunas, and then there you go, right? You got Bruce Brown and Valanciunas, 30 million salary, right? And then you're off to the races, right? Maybe you're taking whatever Gabe Vincent and getting Valanciunas, and then you're taking Rui, Jalen Trevino, and Christian Wood and getting Bruce Brown, right? Like, and then clear off a couple roster spots. You bring in 1 or 2 guys, and we're good, right? Like, so just something to keep in mind. I mean, chances are it probably is something like it probably is something like hey, like we're just gonna go get Valanciunas and Cody Martin, and that's it, right? Lakers first blowout, yeah, finally, right? Mama, there goes that man, LeBron at age 40. What can that man not do? Yeah, seriously, facts. Let's see. Ingram have an injury problem. Maybe Levine will be good. We need also to trade Rui for Bruce Brown and Gabe Vincent for Brogdon. Yeah, I mean, again, like Ingram, you're banking on like so many people are worried about like Zach LaVine and his injury history. Ingram is the guy that you need to worry about injury wise. Again, I don't hate the idea of Ingram. I still would prefer LaVine. Ingram's easier to get to though, because he's making like 8 million less or whatever. So it's just like a guy or 2 less that you'd have to send out. But I'm not against it. Like I've said, like swing for the fences at this point. But chances are it's probably going to be like a Bruce Brown and Valanciunas. Probably what it's going to be. Player of the game easily. LeBron. Davis didn't do anything. Only LeBron deserves credit. Yeah, it's LeBron by himself. Let's see. I like AR, but please trade him while his stock is high for a high-level player. Got the fake depth. Bring in players that actually move the needle. Look, I'm not against it at all, right? Like, again, I still don't think you trade Reaves, just trade Reaves. But like you said, if you can get a higher level player, then yeah, of course, right? Like, if you can get a clear upgrade over Reaves, I think you get a clear upgrade for Reaves. Like I've talked about like with like a Zach LaVine, like people are so worried about like, like, oh, what about the depth? Like, what about the depth? What depth? Lakers have the worst bench in basketball. Like, what are we talking about depth for? right? Like depth is great when it actually matters and you actually have depth and the depth actually contributes and helps, right? Like that's a big difference. Big Val ain't that bad. 8 and 7 in 19 minutes. Yes, agreed. Like I said, I wouldn't mind grabbing a Valanciunas at all. Tyler, say LeBron was the player of the game over Davis. He's the greatest ever. It'll make me happy. I mean, LeBron had triple double. He's player of the game, and he's the greatest ever. Look, I've said that I believe LeBron James is the GOAT. Like if you're talking about just pure basketball player, right? Like I think he's the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. I mean, the guy does everything. And I really like. Hang on, give me 1 second. Sorry, give me 1 second. I had to send a text real quick. But yeah, he's. I believe he's the greatest player ever. This is another example of why Reaves is a bench player. Yeah, look, I think Reaves as your sixth man would be great, personally, but outside of that, the problem is Lakers are going to run him as your third guy. Whether we like it or not, that's just how it's going to be. So you got to do it. Lee. Tyler, why do you hate Austin Reaves? Yay, Lakers. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Let's see what else. Team is, but the Wizards are just worse and gave us chances over and over. Yeah. I mean, look, the worst team in basketball. If we had Zach, we would be Boston. I agree. Let's see. How much will the Lakers lose by Thursday? Over and under 650? Dude, I really hope that they pull off that win. I really do. Yeah, they are a terrible basketball team. Tyler, I'm not watching the Foss State game. I just can't with this team. I don't know if it'll be competitive at all. I hope we win because, man, I can't stand them, but I think I can watch it. Yeah, look, I don't blame you if you don't want to watch it. I want the Lakers to win. I hope that the Lakers win. All right, we need the win. But if we're being honest, right, like, we're probably getting smacked, right? Like, but you never know. I mean, hey, we beat them last year without LeBron and AD, so you never know. Like, things happen. Crazier things happen. Wizards are not the final boss. Yeah, facts. Let's see. Jonas Valanciunas doesn't even start on the worst team because they got a young Alexander Sarr, right? Like, if they're a young team that's trying to lose, like, they don't care, right? Like, you think Alexander Sarr is better than Jonas Valanciunas? No, absolutely not. But they're a bad team that wants to get their young guy reps. They're not going to play Valanciunas. The only reason they signed Valanciunas was to trade him. Like, literally, that's the whole point. That was the whole reason. They signed him so that way they can move him at some point, and they could use Valanciunas to kind of be the gap so Alexander Sarr could kind of come into his own. But then Washington was just so bad, so they were just like, might as well just leave him out there, right? Like, might as well just let him get some reps. So, and look, Valanciunas isn't going to start for us. He's going to be coming off the bench. If they were trying to win games, they'd probably start Valanciunas, but they're not trying to win games. They're trying to just, lose as many games as possible. Lakers need that solidified, consistent third scorer, Levine, Ingram. I agree. I would love that. From playing the worst team to one of the best next game, let's hope for the best. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I do like Lakers do like to play like to their competition, so I'm hopeful that it's at least like give me at least a competitive game, right? Like even if they lose, like don't get blown out, please. Like just keep it within reason. Can they just like keep like make us feel like we might win it, right? Like even if they lose or if they get pulls away at the end or something. Let's see. Reaves has to go, man. Just too easy to target on defense, and on offense, he's just average. Yes. Again, I'm not against trading him at all. Lakers need to trade for Levine ASAP. I agree. Bruce Brown for Gabe in a second. Then go get Valanciunas and Levine. Unfortunately, Lakers can't do that. Lakers have to match salaries. They're also an apron team, so they can't take back more salary. So you wouldn't be able to get all three. You could get technically you could get Levine and Valanciunas. You could easily get Bruce Brown and Valanciunas, but you wouldn't be able to get all three. Because you'd have to get to Bruce Brown, you basically have to do Gabe for Valanciunas, right? And then you'd have to get to Bruce Brown, which would be like Rui, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and Christian Wood. And then even if you were willing to trade Reaves for Levine, you're not going to be able to get to 40 plus million without taking back some salary, because you also have to fill out a roster after. So not only do you have to go and trade for those guys, but then you're trading essentially your entire roster, which again, most of us probably would be like, okay, fine. But the problem is that like you need to be able to have enough money to fill out a roster, and Lakers can't do that. So yeah, so that's the problem. But they could get like two of them. If LA Lakers don't trade 2 firsts after the Suns deal, I feel it, Andrew. I mean, it depends on what there is, right? Like, it depends on what it takes and what's out there. Problem is, I don't think the Lakers are going to go get Levine. As much as I want them to get Levine, as much as I know you want them to get Levine, as much as a lot of people want them to get Levine, realistically, I don't think they're going to do that. And that's a problem. So outside of Levine, who else is there that's worth giving up a first for? Right? Like, you're not giving up a first for Nikola Vucevic because he can be had for a couple seconds. You're not giving up a first for Bruce Brown, right? Like, the thing is, just there's not those guys out there that are worth giving up first for. I'm all for trading first. I mean, Rob Pelinka has said 3 times publicly that he's willing to trade the first. But it's got to make sense, right? If you can I've talked about it before in videos, right? Like, if you can buy a car for 10,000, why would you pay 20,000 or 50,000, right? Like, if you can, get Bruce Brown for 2 seconds, then go get him for 2 seconds. Why would you go and do that? But if Lakers don't get Levine after that Suns deal, problem is I hope that they do. I'm, fingers crossed, toes crossed, crisscross applesauce, all the cross, right? Like, I hope that they do. I just don't think they're going to. If we're being honest, I just don't think that they're going to do it. I would love for them to do it. I hope that they do it. I hope we get news, right? Like, before the Boston game, that Lakers just traded for Zach LaVine. Like, that would make my year. Problem is, I don't think that they're going to do it. I don't. As much as I want them to. Suns are probably going to go get Jimmy Butler, right? They're probably going to trade Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler, and they'll be better. But are they too far behind? That's the problem. Again, I want them to trade for Zach LaVine. I hope that they trade for Zach LaVine, but realistically, I just don't think that they're going to. Let's see. Imagine Brandon Ingram with 20 shot attempts with us. He might give us 30. The only problem I have with the trade is you have 3 players who work the post, who score from the post. Can LeBron become ad diver? I mean, look, I think LeBron's been wanting to play more off ball. He's having the lowest usage rate, right, and all that stuff. So maybe you can work it out. I think LaVine is the better natural fit, but I do think Brandon Ingram, I think you can make it work, right? Because also Austin Reaves is on ball so much, right? They run so much offense through Austin Reaves. You can just do all those same things with Brandon Ingram, and you'd be fine. Brandon Ingram would probably get, 15 to 20 attempts a night, and he'd probably get you, 18 to 25 points, and then, but on just efficiency, right? He'd give you, like Reaves gave you 16, but he gave you 16 on, 4 of 15 from the floor, right? Like Ingram on this night would probably give you, somewhere in the 20 range. So if you had similar opportunities. So that's a tough hoodie tie. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's got the little SpongeBob thing, and then it's got like the big old version on the back. Where did I get this from? I got this like years ago from. I'm a big hoodie guy. I got like my whole closet is like full of hoodies. Problem is, I live in Vegas now. Hoodies were great when I lived in California, right? Like because like 80 degrees year round, right? Like there's constantly like hoodie weather. But now live in Vegas, not that much. Let's see. Buha and Timpf and every other Laker channel don't want to admit the obvious because they want to maintain player relationships. You are the last of a dying breed. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Look, to be fair, right? Like I'm just a guy, right? Look at most of the other guys in the space are all connected, right? Like they all have because like Lakers Nation even started out as like a reporting channel, right? Like weren't they originally like doing like interviews and player interviews and stuff like that? Jovan Buha obviously works for the Athletic and is a reporter for the Lakers. Tim works for the Volume, right? So like all these guys have connections and ties, and they have to keep relationships because it's part of their business, and they all do other things. I'm just me, right? I'm just a guy, right? Like like maybe it'd be different if I was in that field and in that space, but I'm not. I'm blessed enough to just be a guy that was able to grow a Laker channel, right? But like you look at most of the other people in the space, they're all like connected. They're all guys. There's other guys that are fans, right? Like there's other channels that are like me, but the bigger ones they all have like networks and stuff attached to them. Where I'm just kidding, it's just me, myself, and I, right? It's me and my camera. So I have the luxury where I don't have to answer for anything. I don't have to I can be honest. I can give my honest opinion. I can criticize. I can not criticize. I can do a little bit of everything. So, let's see. Why does Kuz look so bad? Because he's not playing. He's not playing in a system. He's just shooting. He gets the green light, right? So he's just chucking up shots. And I mean, the dude was doing like crazy step back, crazy shot. Like it's just silly. How much of that would he do on a team like the Lakers, right? When you're on Washington, you're on a bad team and they're not trying to win, right? You can take 20 attempts. That's just like you just shot chucking. But, when he goes to a team that has system and structure and, is trying to win, he's probably not going to get that opportunity. So he'd probably look better. So, yeah. Hey, Tyler, seems like Rob still hasn't chose his lane. Shaking my head. How many more years of inconsistency would you give the Lakers till you blow it up? I give it next year by the deadline. I mean, again, we got to wait to see what the end result is. Right? Like I said, I don't want to be too critical yet. Want to see what the end result is. Obviously, if he doesn't really do anything, or if he just gets a Valanciunas, then yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. We'll definitely have a different type of conversation than if he goes and gets multiple guys. Because like I said, what if he gets like a Bruce Brown, a Valanciunas, and like a small piece, right? Like, and the Lakers are really good, right? I don't want to jump the gun yet until I actually see the end result, right? Like, yeah, it feels like he hasn't chosen a lane, but we don't know what's, like I always say, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what conversations are being had. We don't know how close or not close the deal is, right? We don't know how many deals almost happened that fell through. Like Rob might have already had a deal like worked out or whatever, and then something happened and it just fell through, right? Like, so I want to wait until we see the end result. I want to wait to see what how this plays out. But as far as like blowing it up, like, yeah, like next deadline, if the Lakers are just still kind of in the same boat and they're just kind of floating around, right? Then yeah, I mean, LeBron's probably leaving anyway. Trade him to the Warriors, let him go there if he wants to. Problem is if LeBron wants to do that or not, right? Because as long as LeBron doesn't, as long as LeBron's willing to stay with the Lakers, then Lakers aren't going to trade him. They're not going to do anything. So I think you got at least a year or so, right, before something happens, right? W is a W, but these Wizards are one of the worst teams I've ever seen. You're not wrong at all, but a W nonetheless. Yeah, look, like I said, I'll take the W, but it's not something that we should be like, oh my, like Lakers are back, baby. It's nothing crazy. Great win. I'll take it. Let's get it. win's a win, right? I'm not going to cry over a win. They won in dominant fashion. It wasn't like a close game where it's like, oh, here we go. Now we got to stress this game. Like, no, Lakers won and had it start to finish. So, yeah, I will gladly take it. If we have a start like that against a good team, that's the problem. Lakers start rough all the time. Dorian Finney-Smith, good game. Yes, he did. He had a very good game. We beat the Wizards. Lakers Nation, stand up. Right. I'll be surprised if they keep it under 20 versus Celtics. I hope so. I hope that's something. Bruce Brown and Jonas Valanciunas is the most realistic move. Nothing else. I maintain. To this moment, I've said I think Valanciunas is probably most likely gonna, if the Lakers end up trading for a center. Valanciunas, I still think, is the most likely center to end up being a Laker. I haven't really swayed on that. Bruce Brown, I think, is very likely. I think they're going to pull off another perimeter trade. My money's on Bruce Brown. And I think if they're going to get a center, it's going to be Valanciunas. I 1,000% agree. Bruce Brown and Valanciunas are probably the most likely moves, the most likely trades. Look, I have several others I would like and prefer, but I just think realistically, you're right. That's the most realistic trade. Let's see. Let's be honest, they demolish us by 50. I sure hope not. I can't get excited until we beat an all-star team. I feel it. I feel it. But like I said, I'll take the win. I'm glad about the win, but I don't think this is something we should be like overhyped, right? Like we just won our Super Bowl, right? Like remember when we played the Hawks? They literally just had their hand out and was in all the passing lanes with one pesky defender. We get Ingram and Vando come back. We literally a big team. Yeah, look, I'm all for it. I'm not against it at all. Lakers better have all the energy when Boston. They always show off against weak teams. Just shows you that the Lakers really trash Boston, finna destroy them, boys. Like I said, I sure hope not. I hope the Lakers handle business and get that win. But I could see them smacking us. Jumping to conclusions. Get someone pitchfork by accident. Yeah, you're not wrong, Blanca. Not wrong. What's going on, buddy? I'm surprised we didn't blow the lead. You're not wrong. According to reports, they're steady pat or making minor moves. Yeah. Jovan Buha, I believe, was the one that said that is the sense he's gathering. Let's see. Let's see. Sorry, damn, it just reset. Hang on, give me a second. There we go. Okay, I think this is where we're at. Let's see. Dorian Finney-Smith should slide into the starting five next game versus Boston. Rui can't guard Tatum. Then Christie can handle Brown. I hope that that's the case. Again, JJ Redick said that Dorian Finney-Smith has been on a minute restriction. How much longer is he on minute restriction? It's kind of the question, right? It's the $1 million question. We'll see. But depending on how that shapes up, hopefully sooner rather than later, he's in the starting unit. Why is he on minute restriction? I believe it was his ankle. He had an ankle injury. Bruce Brown and Valanciunas, yeah, I feel it. But hey, look, honestly, Bruce Brown and Valanciunas would help a ton, right? Like go down the list, right? Like who on this team is better than Bruce Brown and Valanciunas? Like outside of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But Bruce Brown would be one of our better players, right now, right? And then you add in Valanciunas. Like those are actual upgrades. Valanciunas is averaging nearly a double-double in limited minutes, literally. So, again, I wouldn't hate that at all. Again, you move Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting unit. I just think you have a much more balanced starting five. But you're not wrong. We're so good. How would you feel if we did a 3-team trade? Got Levine, Craig, Trent Watford, and Bulls got Rui, Vando, Gabe, Christian, Nets get Cam, Jalen, Trevino, Jackson. Look, I'm all for it, right? Anything that has to do with Levine, Craig. I don't know how much Watford is making right now. I know it's not a lot, but assuming that the math adds up, that the math is math. And yeah, sure, 100%. Let's see. Oh, got a super chat. Crispy Lawnstocking. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that coming out to a super chat. This isn't a championship team. I'm ready for the reset. Yeah. I mean, right now it's not. Again, you get the right pieces. You'd be surprised. Like I said, don't underestimate the value of 2 or 3 guys. But as of right now, as it stands, right? Like, yeah, Lakers are definitely not a championship team. Hopefully, we pull off some moves and we end up getting back to that, and we can kind of, or at least be close enough, right? If hopefully we can at least, get a puncher's chance or a little more if we get that. But look, I've even said in the past that chances are this will be like the setup, and then in the offseason, you make the big move, right? Like, go get Bruce Brown. You could clear as much as like 50, 60 million off your books, depending on what LeBron's willing to do, right? Like, you could essentially go and sign another player, and you got guys like Miles Turner who's available and stuff like that. Like, you could go get, potentially, depending on, because again, Bruce Brown is taking is not going to make 23 million. Let's say he signs 4 years, 48 million, right? So he's making 12 million a year. Do the same thing with Dorian Finney-Smith. That alone, you just cleared like 14, 15 million, right? Then you have vet minimums falling off the book, and then the salary cap increases, right? You could clear 25 to 30 million just with that. And then LeBron can take another 30 million discount if he needed to open up your full mid-level exception and and maybe go sign a piece or two. So chances are it'll probably be next season, but I'd like to see them make, like, if you can make, like, even a Bruce Brown and Valanciunas, I think puts you closer. And depending on how it all configures and works, and health and stuff like that, they could be in the thick of it. Like, there's not a team that I look at and go, there's no way the Lakers beat them. I don't trust them to beat some of these teams, but like, I do think like playoffs are very different than the regular season. Like, the game's going to tighten up. Everything's going to run more through LeBron and AD. But again, it's just, I don't trust the Lakers right now, currently constructed, to go very far. But if you listen to Jovan's podcast, he said we're out on LaVine and the Ingram trade, and basically they don't want to part with the first, so only willing to trade their seconds so much better. Yeah. Can the Lakers pull off a Cam Johnson trade? Technically, yeah, they can. Absolutely. Lakers pull. Yeah, I mean, they could do something like that, get creative, kind of pull a, it's a copycat league. Right, you just saw the Suns do it. Maybe the Lakers could do it. So what would be the ideal trade? Getting LaVine, trading AR instead of Vando, and getting Kessler. Yeah, I mean, look, I would love something like that. I would love to keep Vando if you can. Problem is, I just don't think the Lakers would do that. But yeah, if you keep Vando. Rob Pelinka is simply garbage. Only thing holding them back. Problem is Genie. I think Genie's more of a problem than Rob. Let's see. Rob Pelinka didn't say anything. Jovan Buha said his sense from talking to other execs and stuff like that. So again, context matters, right? Like the Lakers themselves haven't said anything. Yeah, I feel that way too. I don't understand if we're not willing to part with our first. Why not get Ingram? You have a decent bench left, and you step better. Or if you really want to go for LaVine, what first are you giving up? I mean, you might not even have to give up a first for LaVine, supposedly. But even if you did, fine, do it. Right? Like, whichever one. Be like, hey, which one do you prefer? Here you go. Cheers. Let's see. Let's see. Lakers are not getting Zach. If they really want to win and be a contender, they will go get Zach and plus make another move. If not, say goodbye to their season. They might be first round exit again. It's very, very, very possible. Let's see. Hey, Blake Snell and LaVine seem to be good friends. Maybe Lakers can ask to borrow him to talk to him. Yeah. Be like, hey, get that done. I would love Miles Bridges and Josh Green. I've talked about that very thing too. I've talked about that very same type of move. Um, let's see. Would you trade Reaves, Rui, Gabe, and a first for Sar and Kuz? Yeah. Alexander Sar, you get a young center for now in the future. Yeah, 100%. But Wizards would never do that. That's like their foundation piece. Deadline comes around, and the only difference is we have Bruce Brown. Then I'll see you guys next season. Honestly, I think Bruce Brown helps a lot, right? Like, I think people are underselling what Bruce Brown can provide to this team, right? Like, again, I don't think Bruce Brown by himself, now Lakers are the best team in the league. But I also don't think, like, I think he, depending on how well he fits, could be huge for the Lakers, right? Get a guy that can hustle, do the dirty work, slot alongside Austin Reaves. The thing is just, can Austin Reaves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis give you enough offense, right? That's where the question becomes. You still need Reaves to be more consistent. I'd like a more consistent third option. If Jimmy goes to the Suns, do you find them a threat? Much more than I do now. I still don't think Jimmy by himself makes them a contender. No one would want to see Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, and Bradley Beal in the playoffs. I'll tell you that. But I still think they still lack size and defensive versatility. Like, they still lack a lot of things, but they would be much better, much tougher. I would be genuinely shocked if the Suns made it to the finals right now as constructed. I would not be shocked if they made it to the finals with Jimmy Butler, right? But I just think the West is not the East. And I think that the Suns will probably go on some insane run. People probably think that they're the best team in the league, and then they'll get to the playoffs and they'll lose to one of the top teams, right? Because I just think that they don't have, they still won't have enough. Now, next season, depending on how the roster shapes up, they could be a problem. They could be a serious problem. But they need to get more wing depth. They need to get guys that can defend. Like Nick Richards, I thought was huge for them. I even talked about it when I made the Laker video about it, that I think Phoenix, like Nick Richards will do more for Phoenix than he will for the Lakers, because they needed a guy desperately like him. He's going to be really good for them. I think that was a great pickup, right? You go get Jimmy Butler. Now you have, Booker, Durant, Butler, and Nick Richards. You need to get a point of attack 3-and-D guard. They can do that, then I think they might be proud. But right now, I think they're still going to be terrible defensively. All of that. Reaves doing consistent. Agreed. You think Lakers would have Ingram in the primary ball handler role? I doubt that they been pushing him to be the point guard forever. I just feel you have a real conflict between AD and Ingram working in the post. I get that. I understand. Would you trade Reaves for Sar? Absolutely. Talking about, again, a young center for now in the future. Yeah. He's like, what, 20 years old? Let's see. You're my favorite analyst. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You can say what you want. You react what you want. I'm not neutral and on point in details. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This is the best Laker channel that I've watched. Well, thank you. Seriously, I really do appreciate it. Really do. Like I said, I'm lucky that that I'm not in a position where, again, I don't have a boss. I don't have anything. Just literally just me. So I'm in a position where I can be honest, right? Am I wrong at times? Sure. Am I right at times? Sure. Right. But I can be real. I can be honest. I don't have to sugarcoat things. I can just be like, hey, like, this guy isn't doing that, right? Like, so again, like, I understand a lot of these other channels, right? Like, I can't knock them too much. I get that there's a lot at stake, right? You don't want that reputation. Now players don't want to talk to you because all you do is criticize them and stuff like that. And, but I just think you got to be honest, right? Like, even if I was able to talk to a guy like Reaves, right? Like, and I get to that point, like, I'd be honest. I'd be like, dude, like, I love you. You're a great player, but, you're inconsistent. Like, but again, I don't have a network or, a company or anything like that that owns me. It's just me. Unfortunately they will, but yeah, hopefully. Miles and Josh for first will be huge for us. 1,000%. 1,000%. Tyler, if you had to guess When do you think Vanda will be back? Probably beginning of next week. If we're lucky, end of this week. But my guess is probably sometime next week. Probably like maybe not beginning, but like middle of next week. When do we have? Let me see the schedule real quick. Let's make an educated guess here. Obviously, I don't know. Again, I'm not an insider. I'm just a guy. But I was it 21st. I could see either that Sixers game, maybe like the Hornets or Sixers game. I don't think he'll play the back-to-back, but maybe he plays one of them. I could see maybe him sitting for the Hornets game and coming for that Sixers game. But even when he gets back, he's supposed to be on minute restriction and all that other stuff. So just things to kind of keep in mind, right? But yeah, let's see. I think LeBron will play at least one more year. I think after this year, I think he'll play one more, and then we might have to start talking about it. Let's see. Hopefully, Lakers won't wear that city. Yeah, I know. Tyler, do you think KD has more power over LeBron to add better players around him? No, I mean, look, Lakers probably would do whatever they want, but also, how much is LeBron pushing? Right? Like I'm sure he awares. Like in my he was very quiet until recently. Usually, LeBron is kind of like throwing hints and jabs and poking. We didn't really get like the classic LeBron, passive aggressiveness until like 2 days ago, right? So, no, I mean, look, if LeBron went to the front office and was like, dude, get something done, they'd probably get something done. Let's see. Due to legit attempt to silence me when I mentioned Levine. Tyler, this is real. I mean, I can't speak for other content creators, right? I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't really believe in that stuff. I don't think I'll let people talk, right? Like I said, I don't delete comments. I don't, block people or do anything like that just because I don't, I believe in express yourself, whether I agree, whether I disagree, whether I love it, hate it, in between, talk, freedom, right? Freedom of speech, talk. Obviously within reason. If somebody's being like ridiculous and obnoxious, but even the trolls, I let the trolls talk, say whatever you got to say. Doesn't bother me. All it does is help. But again, I'm not other creators, right? I can only control my channel, right? So thoughts on the Lakers not wanting to go all in? No, Diddy, but do you buy that? I mean, do I buy it? Yes. Do I think that I think that they'll make some trades. I think trades are still coming, right? Again, Jovan said his sense is so he wasn't told by the Lakers front office, right? He's gathering pieces from other sources and stuff like that. How, I'm not saying his sources aren't reliable, but it's all these things are the telephone effect, right? All these things are the telephone game, right? It's like the janitor said to this person that they overheard this, and then that person goes and tells this person, and that person tells Jovan, right? And you're hoping that what the janitor heard was true, and then that he took exactly what was said, right? So again, you hear stuff, you get reports, all kinds of things all the time that are like, oh, teams aren't going to do this or teams aren't going to do that, and then all of a sudden they do it, right? And then, I mean, we heard the Lakers weren't going to make a trade a month ago, right? And then they made a Dorian Finney-Smith trade, right? So again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. I tried to send a super chat about Levine and it said unable to send. It's insane. Wow. Really? Even for a super chat? Man, I promise I would never block you for a super chat. Trust me. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something to me. I only watch his videos to see if he responds to my comments on Levine. I think as a player, I prefer Malik over Austin. I talk about Malik Monk. right? Like I like Malik Monk. Malik Monk's awesome. I wish we could have kept him. Um, let's see. Sorry, trying to find something to me. Um, you give us Ingram. You give us Ingram in a contract year with 20 shot attempts on the Lakers, where he want to be. I can't get along with Bruce Brown. Other teams going crowd the paint with him like they do with AD now. Thing is, though, Brandon Ingram isn't like a lights out 3-point shooter, though, right? Like teams are probably going to pack the paint anyway, even with Ingram, right? But he's, to your credit, like he's a good over the top shooter, so he can still shoot over that, where Bruce Brown can't really do that. But I mean, teams are probably going to pack the paint anyway and trust that the Lakers beat them. Like even if they got like Melvin Ingram, now if you got like a Zach LaVine, they wouldn't be able to do that because he is a very good 3-point shooter, right? He's shooting like 45% from 3-point range. But Brandon Ingram, he can be kind of hot and cold from 3-point shooting. So most teams are probably going to pack the paint anyway, and then just like live with the result. Or if like Ingram starts knocking down a bunch of threes and is like cooking, then they'll make the adjustment, is my guess. But um let's see. I take Beal at this point. Look, I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't. However, Bradley Beal, I think is another guy that would be great, right? Like people have a bad taste of Bradley Beal. Pause, because of the Suns, but it's not because it doesn't fit. It doesn't work. They literally have this the exact same player that plays the exact same position in Devin Booker, right? If Bradley Beal goes to a team that doesn't have that and needs what Bradley Beal does, he'll get back to being a 30. Like if he went back to Washington right now, he'd be a 35-5 guy again, right? If he went to the Lakers, I think he'd be probably a 25 point, depending on how many shot attempts he gets, right? I think he would be back to a 25-5 guy minimum, if not a 25-5 guy. But salary is too much. No trade clause is bad idea, and like he is insanely injury prone, right? Like, you're not wrong. We should trade Austin for Zach. Austin is not going to shine in the playoffs. Just look at Embiid with his foul points. Yeah, Austin's. It has, to his credit, as critical as I am of Austin, and look, I would trade Austin Reaves for Zach LaVine tomorrow, but Austin is one of the guys that does show up in the playoffs. He didn't shoot well, like at all, right? Like he shot 28% from three last playoffs, but he is a guy that usually shows up. He's not afraid of the moment. These people have to know Austin Reaves personally at this point. He has dirt on them for sure. I mean, again, you build relationships. Like again, I get it, right? Like I said, all these guys, they're all connected. They all, have this stuff. They're building those relationships. They're making friends, right? Like, if Austin Reaves really like, he's friendly enough, he's nice enough. Like, but my thing is like, I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, I'm not talking about his character. I'm talking about strictly basketball, right? Like, if you're not playing good, I criticize Anthony Davis. I went on a whole rant the other night about Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis, LeBron James. Like, I don't think anybody is above criticism, right? Like, even me, right? Like, I get criticism all the time. Some of it is great, right? And I'm like, oh, hey, you know what? They make a good point. Some of it is like, just people trolling. But I don't think anyone is above criticism, right? Like, and that's my thing. In a lot of ways, I'm glad that I obviously I'd love to have the relationships. I'd love to have the connections. I'd love to be able to talk to the players and be real. But the problem is that they, in all honesty, most players probably wouldn't want to talk to a guy like me because I would be honest. Like I'd be like if I interviewed Austin Reaves, like I'd ask him, like, dude, like, do you ever have issues? Like, do you have concerns about your defensive struggles? Like I'd bring the data, like, hey, how do you feel about this? Right. Like, so probably won't be in that position, but that's fine. All right. Like I'd rather be able to be honest. I'd rather be able to relay my honest opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Again, I'm not always right, but at least I can be honest, right? At least I'm not, having to like hold back and pull my punches. I'd rather be able to be honest than like, oh, well, I don't want to talk about Austin Reaves, in a negative light because, I want him on my channel again, right? Like, no, I want to be able to be like, hey, like, hey, Reaves is Reaves is booty juice, right? Like, hey, like even if I did interview him, I'd still like to be like, hey, like love Reaves, great dude. Me and him got along great in the interview, but he's been booty. Like, like that's just me though. Let's see. Yeah, definitely. Like Bruce Brown would be good if he actually going to be the point, but that not what's going to happen. Reaves is going to be the point. So what Bruce doing out there can't shoot, doesn't rim pressure. He can operate in the mid range and get into a shot, which is good. Two, he can handle the ball pressure. Like you saw it like with Denver, right? He most of the time was just the initiator, right? He'd bring the ball up because he's big, he's physical, he can handle it, right? And he'd bring the ball up, get you into your actions and run your sets, right? I still think Austin Reaves is going to operate as the point guard and be on ball, but Bruce Brown would be that slasher cutter, open three-point shooter. I mean, he was 38 or 36% from three-point range with Denver. If he can get back to something similar to that, then I think that's fine. But it's more about the defensive pressure, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", with like a 6'9" wingspan, right? He's got good size, good length, can defend multiple positions. He's big, he's physical, he defends big, right? You think of a guy like an Alex Caruso. Why do people love Alex Caruso so much? Because he can hold his own against pretty much anybody. Bruce Brown's one of those guys. He's a guy that does the dirty work. You need those guys. Lakers don't really have very many of those guys, like the dirty work guys that are willing to do whatever they have to do. Let's see. We'll see Wood play another. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Jimmy does make them better. Yeah, like as the Lakers are currently constructed, yes, I would. Yeah. See, the problem, Reaves is not going to consistent. Reaves, AD, and Braun is not going to give you consistent offense. Night, and pretty sure when Vando comes back, we're top 10 defensively. I think we'll be very good defensively with Jared Vanderbilt. Problem is, Jared Vanderbilt's probably not going to be able to. He's coming back, and he's going to be on a minute restrictions. JJ already said he'll probably be, 10 to 15 minutes at most. So how long is he on that for? I do think Vando helps a ton, but it would be nice to have that guard that you can throw out there and run different units and run different sets. Again, like, is Bruce Brown the, elixir cure-all? No. But I think he helps a lot. I think he helps a lot more than people think that he will. Let's see. At this point, Braun being 40 should not be a number one option every night. That's why Zach is needed, because AR is not consistent enough. I am right there with you. Let's see. I'm all for Levine. We haven't had a high flyer in years yet, 100%. Look, I've said it before. Like, he would be the best natural scorer the Lakers have had since Kobe. Who has been a better natural scorer than Zach LaVine, right? Again, I'm not saying best player. I'm saying just pure scorer. He would literally be the best pure scorer on the Lakers right now, right? Some Laker fans are content with mediocre. Yeah, I personally am not. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something for me. I'm 72 years old and I can't watch Boston. I've got 5 stints in my heart. Oh yeah, definitely. First off, I appreciate you coming to the stream. And yes, so yeah, you lived in the glory days. You lived in the Celtics Lakers glory days. So yeah, you definitely. I get it. Believe me, I get it. Zach keeps making a statement every time he sees the Lakers ops. 100%. Every time the Lakers play somebody and then Zach plays them, he's like, all right, watch, come get me, right? Let's see. Beating Boston is fool's gold. I don't think you're wrong. I'm hopeful. I mean, Boston's been struggling lately. Boston's been rough lately, but I mean, I still still don't feel comfortable. Um, may as well wait for buyout market goodwill for players. Yeah, problem is with the new CBA, Lakers are very limited in the buyout market. You can only get guys making 13 million or less, and I'm curious to see how many players are actually available at the buyout. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. We'll always keep attacking. Oh yeah, they're going to target Reaves like crazy. um, let's see. Sorry, trying to find something. Me. Austin will average 5.6 turnovers next game against Holiday and DY. You might not be wrong. That ball pressure, although he did do a good job last time, right? Um, let's see. Tyler, I know the Celtics will win next game. Celtics know they'll keep attacking regardless, especially Reeves so weak in defense. Yeah, I think a safe bet is that they're going to do that. um, let's see. Uh, Levine will bring excitement back to Lakerland. Plus, his sniper from three. Yeah, he's shooting 45% from three-point range this season on 7.1 attempts, which is crazy. Thoughts about a DeJounte Murray trade? I would love it. Look, I wanted the Lakers to go get DeJounte Murray last season. I'm still bothered that they didn't. Obviously, cost is everything. What would it cost you to go get him? But if you can get him, I think you get him. I would prefer Zach. Problem is you can't get Zach LaVine and Lonzo, even if you traded Reeves, because Lakers would have to send out essentially 70 million if they wanted to clear out a roster, or if they wanted to clear enough salary to fill out a roster, and it's tough. On 6 attempts, Brandon Ingram shooting 37% main. We need that he is shooting 18 attempts a game. Give him 24 and just saying more help for LeBron and AD. Look, again, I'm not against it at all. I am 100% for it. I would not be against it whatsoever. Again, I personally would prefer Levine, but Lakers at this point should just blow it up if you're not going to try to go all in. It depends on what moves you make, right? Like, because again, you kind of lay the foundation and then go get a guy or two in the offseason. But is a Robin along with AD? Yeah, which you'd still have to kind of. I don't like Ingram as like your best player, but like most nights he'd probably be your second best, and then but he takes the pressure off of LeBron and AD. So again, it's not my favorite option, but I wouldn't be against it. Like if we got news tomorrow, the Lakers traded for Brandon Ingram, I'd be like, all right, solid. I'm not against getting Beal at this point. Hypothetically, if he stays healthy, he's fine. Not ideal, but I'm not against it. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like I just think there's too many hangups with Bradley Beal. That is why I don't want him. But again, I think on the Lakers he'd be back to 25, 5 and 5 guy. I'm right there with you, Mr. 81. Let me see. I wouldn't mind CJ McCollum either. Didn't he just drop 48? Didn't he have like a 50 piece not that long ago? Yeah, I wouldn't mind McCollum either. They really just need a guy that can consistently put the ball in the hoop. I want Levine, DeJounte, or McCollum. I'm right there with you. Let's see. I see your other comment, Jake. Look, I'm all for trading it. I can't brand it up because YouTube will see the naughty words, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm calling it. If they trade for Levine and they're healthy, they will win a championship. I wouldn't be shocked at all. It just would give you so much dynamic. Reaves looks like he's baling hay or playing rugby when he's in. He's a shoot first or pass as a last resort point guard. Yeah, which is why he needs to be the two. You need to have him slide over. You need to get somebody that can legit. You don't need some like Chris Paul playmaker. It's not this style of offense we're running. You just need somebody that can initiate, which is why I think Bruce Brown makes a lot of sense. He's a guy that can slot in, come in, and divvy it up, initiate, get you into your actions, and then Reaves can continue to be aggressive. I've talked about it. Reaves is at his best when he's allowed to be aggressive, when he can continue to be aggressive. Um, you have to match salaries. So Lakers, I mean, you could add Christie to the deal, but you have to match salaries. So it would be you'd have to send out like Rui, Gabe, Jared Vanderbilt, things like that. New subscriber here. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Follow Jake, everyone. If you haven't subscribed, take a quick second, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like the video. But Jake, I appreciate you. Welcome aboard. Here's how new subscriber here. How can we get Levine, DeJounte, or CJ McCollum? Well, I'm assuming you mean like individually, because we wouldn't be able to get multiple of them. However, you can. I mean, you essentially for all three, you're putting a package centered around Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and then because all three guys are kind of like different pay scales. Levine, you'd have to send out the most, but even then, it's like Rui, Gabe Vincent, like Jared Vanderbilt, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and Christian Wood would get you Levine. DeJounte Murray, off top of my head, I think he's making what, like 32 million. Let's call it 35 just to be safe. You'd have to basically Rui, Gabe, Christian Wood, and Jalen Hood-Schifino get you there. So you could keep Jared Vanderbilt if you got Murray. Same thing with CJ. You basically do the same thing. So that's essentially the packages. And then whatever picks or, you know, if you have to give up a first, you give up first. If it's pick swap, a couple seconds, pick swap, a couple seconds, however it shakes up. Gabe and Cam for a real point guard. I am not against it. I would love that starting unit. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something. Me. We get Dayron, Bruce Brown, and Zaire Williams. What do you think of it, Tyler? I wouldn't hate that. You get your backup center, get a young, versatile wing, and then Bruce Brown, point of attack. Yeah. Look, I've talked about, like, I really do think the Lakers need bare minimum. If you're gonna do like a pieces trade or you're gonna do like a limited trade, you gotta go get like athletes, right? Zaire Williams is an athlete. Let's see. I wonder what a package for AD would look like. Where would AD want to go? I mean, that would be the question, is like where we want to go. Because, I mean, his hometown is Chicago. He's probably not going to want to go to Chicago. I would, if you were going to do a rebuild, and I've said this before, if you were going to do a rebuild, I would trade LeBron to the Warriors, go get Kuminga, Moses Moody, and then whatever salary filler. But you got to get Kuminga, Moses Moody. Obviously, maybe you get a first or something, but Kuminga and Moses Moody. Then I would, if it was me, I would trade Anthony Davis to the Thunder. Let the Thunder win, 2 championships or whatever, but get back can you get J-Dub and like Dort, right? Like perfect, right? And then whatever, 5 firsts or whatever. Obviously, you'd have to have salary filler and all that stuff. But I'm saying, essentially, you'd have like your point guard of the future, your shooting guard of the future, your small forward of the future. Yeah, you'd have power forward. You have Max Chris, still Dalton Connect. All you need to do now is go get a center. If it was me, then again, it's just me. I'd take all the picks that I got and however many I need and go get Walker Kessler. Now you got Dort, Lou Dort. You got J-Dub, Kuminga as your 4. So you go like Dort, Christie, J-Dub, Kuminga, and Kessler, and that's your 5 for the future. And I think in 3 years, you're probably the best team in the league again. I mean, J-Dub is like a 20-point-a-game guy as like the 3rd, 4th option, right? Imagine what he'd be if he's like your 2nd option. Reaves is very inconsistent, which is my problem with Reaves. Kate won't see that in his life. All right, I'm going to do a couple more questions and then skate on out of here. As it stands, Levine torched the Clippers. We need Levine. We will beat the Clippers, Boston, OKC, Cavs. Look, you're preaching to the choir. I know you're a new sub, but get at me, right? Like check out some of the videos. I am probably as big of a Zach LaVine to the Lakers supporter as you'll find on the internet. I Like I badly want LaVine. I talk about LaVine as much as I possibly can. I try to put it into the universe. February 6th is coming. I can't wait for LaVine. I'm right there with you. I hope he comes. I am a big LaVine guy. My prediction: we will get LaVine in a 3-team trade. I am hoping you are right, Jake. I am hoping you're right. I wouldn't mind that at all. I'm right there with you, Jake. Let's see. Oh, I got to the end of the chat. Perfect. Let's see. Would make the most exciting team the NBA has seen in a long time. 20-plus point blowouts every other night. Yeah, especially when things are clicking. OKC would be scary for at least 4 years. Chet and AD, sheesh. Yeah, they would. But, like, you're getting, like, your core is young. So you're waiting for them. So, like, OKC would be on the rise. They'd probably win, like I said, 2-3 championships. And then AD would go retire. And then they would start. And at that point now, SGA is like 32. And, as they're declining, you're rising. And like I said, J-Dub is already, he's like a 20-point-a-game guy who's really good defensively, legit two-way guy. And he's like the third or fourth option, right? Like, what does he look like if he's like your second or third option, right? Like, and then Kuminga, I still think has the potential in the right system, the right opportunity. I think can be, maybe not like a superstar, but could be borderline star. You'd be defense, you'd have defense, you'd be athletic. The Lakers would probably be a play-in team at worst, which is basically what the Lakers are borderline now, but they'd be a lot more exciting, a lot more fun, a lot more action-packed. You'd have a bunch of picks. You'd have basically your main core for now in the future. If I could do it, like if I had to do a rebuild, right, that's the rebuild I would do. Yeah, I would keep JJ for the rebuild, personally. I would. I think JJ would be fine in a rebuild. And he's young, right? Let him kind of grow with the team rather than having all this turnover. Who are you going to get? Some old coach that, yeah, maybe be better, but I think you just kind of let him. Now the expectations aren't there. He can kind of learn, right? He can kind of develop and see. Give him a couple years and see what he looks like. If he doesn't have it by the time you're ready to compete, then there you go. Let it go. Let's score. Let's see. Last question. I'm going to get on out of here. There's a reason they don't talk about guys that don't score on ESPN because they suck. Gabe and Cam got to go. I mean, they don't talk about guys that can't score on ESPN because that's what the NBA is nowadays. But, yes, I get your point. I know what you're saying. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to skate on out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Seriously, I appreciate you guys. Everyone that gave me super chats, thank you so much. Seriously, I really do appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. But hopefully we got Boston coming up. Here we go. Hopefully we get that win. I will see you guys after the game as always. I appreciate you guys. And on your way out, hit that like button for me if you haven't hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.